Episode 34. Despair filled Yu Zitong's heart. The relentless slashes of his opponent's sword had weakened his origin soul considerably, but he wasn't overly concerned. What truly left him powerless was the relentless, corrosive advance of that black liquid. Ever since the liquid hit him, he'd felt a creeping numbness and weakness, his remaining magic power being steadily eroded away. Even more critically, he was disrupting Yu Zitong's spellcasting.
Why would you kill me? Why?
Han Li gave his answer with the blade, accelerating its swing without a word.
Soon after, Yu Zitong's voice gradually faded, growing weaker and weaker until it was nothing more than a faint whimper. And then, there was nothing. Han Li didn't stop immediately. He hacked away at the origin soul, now just a flicker of light on the ground, for another dozen strikes. Only when he saw it was truly impossible to extinguish that last remnant of green radiance did he finally cease.
I never work with people who swear oaths on their own parents, and I certainly won't follow Dr. Mo's footsteps and trust the guarantee of a scoundrel like you.
With a final glance at the flickering ember of Yu Zitong's origin soul, Han Li turned without hesitation. He strode to the stone door and pushed the heavy slab open. As the stone door swung open, several dazzling rays of sunlight shot in from outside, falling upon the remnant origin soul. The faint green light flickered once and vanished, dissolving into a few wispy trails of smoke that dissipated into the air. So how did Han Li know the origin soul was afraid of light? It was Dr. Mo's own action of extinguishing several lamps as soon as he entered the room that gave Han Li the clue. Otherwise, he'd have had no way to deal with such an invulnerable, lingering threat, leaving Han Li in a constant state of anxiety. However, the other bucket of 7 poison water that Han Li had prepared in advance also played a crucial role in his easy elimination of the opponent's origin soul. This bucket of poison was an improved version of the 5 poisons water that Dr. Mo had confiscated earlier, with a new ingredient added, the Earth Maiden flower. This toxic herb is not only highly poisonous to ordinary people, but also greatly damages a cultivator's origin soul. That's precisely why Yu Zitong was never able to properly cast his spells, leading to his origin soul being so easily destroyed.
Han Li slowly walked back to the center of the stone hut. He stood there quietly for a moment, then suddenly, he leapt into the air, jumping over 3 feet high, and let out several fierce, triumphant shouts.
I'm finally free! I'm finally free!
Han Li's voice stopped dead. A massive, drifting figure near the stone gate caught his eye. It was the giant called Iron Slave.
Han Li's expression suddenly turned grim. The moment he saw that figure, he seemed to feel a dull ache throbbing in his shoulder once more. He'd made a huge mistake, overlooking this man's existence once again. He'd forgotten to ask Yu Zitong's origin soul about the giant's origins and weaknesses.
However, Han Li found some small comfort in the fact that the giant seemed to have no interest in the stone hut's affairs. He just kept pacing outside, strictly adhering to the guard orders left by Dr. Mo. Han Li frowned. This was getting tricky.
This guy is clearly a bit simple-minded, just blindly following orders. But for me, that makes him the hardest type to deal with. I can't talk him into a truce, and if it comes to a fight, I'm no match for him. I've already used up all the poison water. I don't have anything left in my hands that can threaten him.
Han Li racked his brains for a way to subdue his opponent, but his mind was a tangled mess, utterly devoid of any leads.
His gaze fell on Dr. Mo's corpse. Maybe the body holds the key to stopping the brute.
He glanced back at the door. The giant was still pacing tirelessly outside, showing no sign of approaching. Seeing this, Han Li finally relaxed. He took a few steps over to Dr. Mo's corpse and began to search it, inch by careful inch. One by one, strange and unfamiliar items were pulled out by Han Li. He was gradually growing astonished. Dr. Mo really had a lot of miscellaneous things on him. Many of them at a glance were clearly deadly implements, things like a wrist-mounted crossbow loaded with a poison that kills upon contact with blood, a pouch of sand soaked in snake venom, a dozen or so lethally sharp boomerangs, and so on.
As the items piled up, Han Li's breathing grew ragged. The more carefully he searched, the more his heart pounded with dread.
Only now did he realize how incredibly lucky he had been when he fought Dr. Mo. If the man hadn't been intent on capturing him alive, Han Li would have been a goner long ago. Finally finished searching, Han Li began to examine each item one by one.
This little bottle smells awful. It seems to be some kind of antidote, so it should be fine. This strange weapon. It looks like a little cage. I don't know what it's for, but it probably has nothing to do with this giant. I'll set it aside for now. As for this sachet,
Han Li fiddled with the items as he spoke to himself, clearly enjoying himself.
In his hand was an ordinary sachet embroidered with plain white silk flowers. Such a common item would be unremarkable on an ordinary person, but for a man like Dr. Mo, a true schemer, its presence was anything but ordinary. Han Li gave it a little shake. It felt light, probably not holding anything heavy. He gave it another squeeze. Feels like paper. There must be pages or something inside.
Han Li's spirits lifted. He tore open the sachet and, as expected, found several sheets of paper inside.
He gave it a quick glance. It was Dr. Mo's handwriting. That gave him a rough idea of what to expect. Then, as he looked more carefully, Han Li was stunned. This was a suicide note left for him by Dr. Mo. Han Li was puzzled, his curiosity thoroughly piqued. He picked up the letter and read it through from beginning to end. After finishing the letter, Han Li let out a long, heavy sigh to the heavens. His brow furrowed tightly, his thoughts now weighed down with worry. He paced back and forth with his hands clasped behind his back, like a little old man. He'd take a few steps, then pause to think. Unable to make up his mind, he'd walk a few more paces, then stop again to ponder. And so, without even realizing it, Han Li circled Dr. Mo's corpse like a donkey turning a millstone, his expression shifting between cloud and sun, flushing red one moment, paling white the next, his mind in utter turmoil. The reason Han Li was in such a state was because the will had left him with a terrible piece of news and a difficult choice. The antidote for the corpse worm pill was actually poisonous itself, and a rare, insidious type of poison at that. According to the letter, the only cure for this poison is Dr. Mo's family heirloom, the warm sun jade. There is no other way. Even the legendary antidotes of myth could not cure this poison. Therefore, on these pages, Dr. Mo made it very clear to Han Li. This will and the hidden poison he'd administered earlier were his contingency plan for the worst-case scenario. If his attempt at possession failed and something went wrong, the one most likely to survive would be Han Li. To settle his affairs, he planned to make a simple deal with Han Li. It would not only secure his own legacy, but also grant Han Li a fortune and untold benefits. As for whether Yu Zitong would be the last one standing, Dr. Mo didn't even consider it. In his mind, he dismissed the man as cold-hearted, cowardly, and possessing only a petty cunning. Even as a cultivator, he'd never amount to much. The one to survive to the end would never be him. Han Li couldn't help but give a bitter inward laugh.
Dr. Mo was so cunning, yet he probably never expected that in the end, he was the one who fell into the trap of this person he usually looked down on. If I hadn't hidden my true progress in the eternal spring arts, I would have most likely ended up dead alongside Dr. Mo, letting Yu Zitong pick up the pieces for free. Of course, this was also because Dr. Mo had his mind clouded by his own dream of attaining immortality. It seems you can't underestimate any cultivator, no matter who they are.
Dr. Mo's terms in the letter were simple. Han Li had to visit his home within a year, or two at the latest. First, the insidious poison Han Li was afflicted with would flare up within 2 years. Second, he had wives, a daughter, and a not insignificant legacy back home. Before he left, Dr. Mo laid many plans and cast a smokescreen to hide his absence. But if he stayed away for too long, his unruly subordinates and old enemies would surely grow suspicious. That could spell danger for his family. Therefore, Han Li had to act before things got worse, to protect his wife and children, to get them settled somewhere safe. Ideally, he would get them far away from the world of martial arts and vendettas so they could live a peaceful, ordinary life, free from want. As compensation for his scheme against Han Li, and as payment to ensure Han Li would set aside their past grievances and come to his aid, he was willing to offer one of his own daughters in marriage to Han Li. The dowry would be half of his entire fortune, along with that warm sun jade. Before he left, Dr. Mo had already given the warm jade to his wife, specifying it was to be used exclusively as his daughter's dowry. So, for the sake of his own life, Han Li had no choice but to go through with the marriage. Of course, he also made it clear that his enemies were formidable, and his own subordinates were not easy to control. With Han Li's current abilities, a direct confrontation would be more than he could handle. To that end, he had prepared 2 false identities for Han Li in a secret compartment at his residence, leaving behind tokens and handwritten letters of proof. Han Li could then choose whichever identity suited him best. He also listed his trusted aides, the suspicious individuals, and his enemies in the letter, along with other details that required careful attention. Finally, to prove the sincerity of this final testament, he appended the methods for controlling and summoning the giant iron slave and the cloud crimson bird.